Shalom and good day, all. This is Tehillim29 back again for another DC review, and for this DC review I'll be covering Action Comics 1058 by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and we have two additional stories in there, one addressing the secret identity and Panic at the Parade. So what I'll do is I'll work on the area of the first story, then the next story, and then the third story, and I'll give its ratings. But first things first, does this cover in any way, shape, or form connect to something that's happening inside with the story? Seeing that this cover directly connects to the first story, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the first story, which we see in this Action Comics issue. And of course, we will move into its art rating along with story rating. So as the story begins, we have Superman going up against a doppelganger who has basically exchanged powers with him, and he's, I guess, put him in his body, or the doppelganger's body, and he now has to work on basically getting his body back. We'll now try to move towards closer to the middle of the story. As we draw closer towards the middle of the story, we see things are happening with other characters, along with Clark Kent taking out what the doppelganger has done to get his powers back. And as we slowly move towards the end of the story, now this is something I found sort of caught my attention here, and that is the story of Nightwing and Flamebird. And I'm wondering if this could be setting up Ophel and Osul Ra, maybe in this universe, whether Philip Kennedy Johnson decides to go ahead with it or not, to make Ophel and Osul Ra the new Nightwing and Flamebird of this universe. The next question would be, how would it affect the other titles? And will there be like a new Nightwing and Flamebird story that will actually come to DC Comics? Because we get to see Kara talking to the twins here, and we get to see a bit of a story as to what occurs. We even get the name of the Red Sun and Star Child being mentioned. And last but not least, we finish off with what's happening at the Steelworks Foundry with John. So for the overall art in this story, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. For the next thing is the area of the story. The locations that we had in the story, seeing I'm unable to put in like a mass amount of information, because there's 3 stories in this, I've had to keep it cut down a little bit. We had the locations of the Daily Planet, the Kent home, and also the Steelworks Foundry. The cast of characters consisting of Clark Kent Superman, he's the doppelganger that's going up against him and has taken his powers, Lois Lane, some Ophel and Osul Ra, Supergirl, Calyx, and Steel. Now it's time to move into the next story. For the overall story rating, it is a 7.5 out of 10. I did think it was alright, along with the art. As we move into the second story, it's called Secret Identity, and we've got something happening here with Keenan Kong trying to somewhat discover the secret identity to Superman in the process, as they also go up against, I think it's one of his villains from the new Superman run. We get to see a bit of a flashback, and also the twins also suspecting him of something. And just as he learns the name of Superman, who he is, he ends up dying on the spot, almost as if it's like a trigger mechanism to kill him off, which is very interesting. And it makes one wonder, did the Batman of Shanghai plan this, or did someone else actually plan his death this way by him learning the name of who Superman is? For the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. With the locations that appeared in the story, we had China, or Shanghai, China. We didn't quite get to see where we were in Metropolis, so that's not mentioned here. The cast of characters consisting of the Worm Emperor, Keenan Kong, of course the Super Twins, Supergirl. We also get to see sort of Batman of China and Connor Kent. For the overall story rating, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move on to the last story, which is Panic at the Parade, and in it we end up having the character of Bibbo taking the Super Twins out, and seeing that these Super Twins are from another planet. They don't quite understand the festivities or the events of what are occurring here, and it takes a little bit of a talking to just to understand why they're there, and they're there to have some fun. Until, of course, Superman finally turns up on the scene to help the situation a little bit more because of what the twins have been doing. I'll say one thing, give us back the Super Sons, not the Super Twins. Unless you plan on setting up the Super Twins to be the new Nightwing and Flamebird and then kill them off, yeah, it would be fun for that. And last but not least, turning to the end, for the internal art in this, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It felt like very much a one-off story. The location to which this takes place in regards to the story is the Metro Square, or the Metropolis Square. Of course, the cast of characters consisting of Bibbo, Superman, and the Super Twins. And of course, seeing members of the DC Universe in the fair. The overall story rating in this is a 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.